platform. So if you have a question, just raise your hand and then I'll unmute you and you can just ask it and we can kind of dialogue about it. All right. And so just to give you all a background on the financial house. So at Fed Legacy, we've been doing this now for 17 years. And so, we've seen clients, go from 60 to 70. We've seen clients go from 45 to 57. And, just the full journey of what it's like to prepare for retirement. Some people that just didn't have anything in their TSP and then, met with us and then all of a sudden now they're retiring with 600,000 in the TSP and they're super happy about it and structured the right way, right? Well, people that's been retired, had family emergencies, things like that, and they were able to deal with it. And so the way in which what we're going to talk about today is the framework that we use, and we call it the financial house, right? It's just a metaphor, but it's something that you can easily follow in your retirement, right? And so that's one of the things that we like to dialogue with our clients about. Once we educate them on where their money is in specific times, just as a teaching mechanism, right? Because I know for me, I wasn't raised having money conversation with my parents, right? I had to learn a lot of this stuff on my own. And a lot of people that are retiring now are forced to learn a lot about their money situation because at the end of the day, once you're retired, you're not making any more money, right? So you got to have a good relationship with money to be able to navigate that, right? And so what we did, we created the financial house. Is a metaphor, but it helps you understand exactly where your money should be in retirement and how you need to have it structured and why, right? So I'm gonna take you all through that process that we've been using now for the last 17 years. And the reason why having your money situated in the right place, especially now, is because we don't know what's going on, right? There could be a recession coming. It doesn't look good, right? And then not only that, usually when there's recessions, at least in the federal market, you're not really affected by it. In the private industry, there's recessions, and a lot of times when there's recessions, there's job losses from tech companies, things like that. This is the first time that I know I've experienced where I'm seeing federal employees being the one that are on the chopping block. And so you got market volatility plus the threat of being ripped. That's a scary combination for a lot of you, right? And so with that in mind, you want to make sure that your money is structured in a certain way so that no matter what comes your way, you're okay, right? And so what we want to make sure we do with the financial house, we want to make sure we take care of these three vulnerabilities that all federal employees are pretty much facing right now. And that's just pension uncertainty, right? And pension uncertainty is number one, just because if you're like I talked to two ladies today, one was 49, one was 51. Both got ripped, right? And in that, they just don't have enough in their pension because they haven't been working there long enough to sustain, right? So that they have pension uncertainty, right? So it's like, what am I going to do, right? The one was okay because she has 700,000 in her TSP, and so we were able to create an income plan for her. The other one only had 108 in her TSP, and it was really nothing I could say. I mean, we looked at the numbers, and the numbers just didn't work. Right. And so it was just unfortunate because it's like she's vulnerable in a very vulnerable place. Right. And so you just want to make sure that you don't have pension uncertainty. The way to avoid pension uncertainty is making sure that you have, enough in your TSP. Right. And so the other part is just also TSP dependency. Right. And so different situations, if you have a lot of debt, things like that, or your TSP is not invested properly, you lose a lot of your TSP. That can really affect the way you grow. And typically that's people that just have a lot of debt, a lot going on in their finances, people that, you could be recently divorced or something like that and had to deal with that. And then you don't have a lot of your TSP, you don't have a lot of your TSP, you don't have a lot of your pension. That's a vulnerability, right? All types of scenarios. But right now, in the past, you used to can control when you access your money. Now you just don't know, right? And so you just want to be prepared no matter what. And the last thing is just like traditional retirement advice isn't the same advice that federal employees need. And here's why I say that. The reason why I say that is because as federal employees, you have a pension, right? That's a big deal. Most people in the private industry don't. And so because you don't have a pension, and I say this all the time, you can afford to take a bit more risk with your money, right? And we'll go through that, right? And so the framework of my financial house is like this. And we've gone through this before, right? Just like a physical house protects you from storms, your financial house protects you from economic uncertainty. And so our clients that are retired right now and like kind of watching this stuff, they're okay. They rarely call us right now because we've prepared them mentally on, okay, in these times this is the money you use, and other times this the other money you use, right? And so I'm gonna break this down for you all like we break it down to them. And so when it comes to your house, you got to have three levels, right? You got your foundation, you got your walls, and you got your roof. Your foundation is your security money, right? That's money that protect you from income needs, right? If you need income, you want to make sure you have that money set aside in the protected bucket, right? And again, we talk about this all the time, because the worst thing you want to do is in economic times like this, make emotional decisions, because the market might be down really bad one day, then the next day is up, right? And if you get in a place where you're starting to chase the market, you can really get yourself in a bad spot, right? So you want to make sure the money that you're using for income that might cause you to be emotional, typically income, healthcare needs are the things that cause most people to like overspend in retirement out of nowhere. So you want to make sure that money's in a secure place, in an account where it's not subject to market loss, but it's still growing, right? Legacy, right? Some people might say, I want to make sure my kids have X amount of dollars. That's important for a lot of people. And you might not want to do life insurance. So you just want to make sure that money's in a secure place and it's not subject to market loss. Grandkids, college, stuff like that. Then we have the walls, right? The walls is more so a tactic, right? Or a way of doing things, right? And the walls is you have to insulate yourself from two really important things in retirement. And that is taxes and inflation, and taxes are a big deal, right? So if most people have a lot of their money in the traditional TSP, right? And they move into a traditional IRA, no problem there. But the issue is, as that money grows, so does the cut that the IRS has, right? And so what you want to do is you want to make sure that over time you're putting more than, we discussed it last week, is putting more of your money into the Roth IRA through Roth conversions, so that as once you turn 73 and RMDs come about, most of your money's in that Roth account, because that'll save you a lot of money in taxes, like hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes is what you would save. And then on top of that, when it comes to your kids also won't have to pay those taxes during that time, because now, based on the Secure Act, they have a 10-year rule where you have 10 years to be able to take that money from traditional IRAs, and your kids do it, from a traditional IRA over to their own personal bank or investment account that they want to use it. But they have to pay the taxes when they take the money out, and they have 10 years to do that. So if you have $1 million in your TSP, which we hope you do, right, over that time period, right, then now they got to take $100,000 a year out, which will affect their taxable income, thus giving the IRS more money on their income, their regular income from their job, plus the income that they're taking, plus the money that they're rolling from you, which is why the IRS did it, because now they get more taxable income, right? And so tax dollars, I'm sorry. And so then the next piece is inflation. As we know, inflation has been a big deal these last couple of years. And so you often hear people say, I'm gonna move all my money to the G fund. And a lot of people are doing that right now. The issue with that is you're not losing money on the screen, but you're losing buying power. And so you have to make sure that when you are investing your money for protection, you're putting it in places that will outpace inflation, right? And so that's the walls aspect, because what you don't want is to go take your money and you realize, man, that costs a whole lot of money, and that big chunk impacts your TSP. And we see that happen all the time. When people take income and they're taking income from their retirement and it's just eating away at their principal balance because they're not getting the performance that they should be getting on that money. Right. And then the last piece is just the roof. And like, roof is really important in times like this, because right now, a lot of people made money the last 2 years with the TSP, but now, it's volatile. So people are losing money. And so your people are getting shifty. They're not sure what to do. But if you have a structure in place where you're taking on the correct amount of risk, nothing more, nothing less, then it doesn't matter to you, because the money that you need is already set aside in a protected place. So the growth money that you're letting grow is doing what it does. Some years is up, some years is down, but in the long run, it'll typically be up, right? But you're not having to sell shares and moving and all this type of stuff, because you have a proper setup in place, right? And that's what I want to preach to you all. Like, make sure you have a proper setup in place, because it gives you peace of mind, and you'll see your wealth grow. Like, this is what other people do, right? They grow their money in a systematic way. And when you do that, you really reap the benefits of compound interest. Plus, you take out the IRS out of the equation, and you can really just enjoy your money, and it's not stressful, right? And so that's That's why the financial house is like super, super important. Um, these are my graphic person made all these. So it just, having a complete financial house in times like this of uncertainty is like super, super important. Especially now with these rifts, right? Because our team right now, we were talking about as a team is just like, how do we help? How do we really help people right now? Some people we can help, some people we can't. The people that are really benefiting from what we've done is, and we were talking about this as a team, are people that met with us 2-3 years ago, right? Because we've already put them on the right path. But right now, we're getting a lot of people coming to us, and we're trying, but with the rifts and people, retiring in early 50s and still forced to retire in early 50s and things like that is a bit tricky, but you just got to make sure you have the right structure in place. Because once you have the right structure in place, it makes a lot of this planning a lot easier, right? And so what I want to do now, because we got about 15 minutes, what I want to do is I want to open it up for questions, because last time we went a little bit over, and I want to make sure we have any. If there's any questions, please raise your hand, and I'll unmute you, and then we could talk about whatever it is you want to talk about regarding the risks, financial house, anything like that. Anybody have any questions? Let me go here. No questions? All right. So what can I say? So when it comes to retirement planning, the one thing, especially those that are still in the government that have more than 5 years, what you want to do for sure is make sure you start planning on the Roth TSP early, right? Because it's Roth TSP, you have to have your money in there for 5 years, right? So the sooner you start with the Roth TSP, the better. It'll really help you in the long run when it comes to saving the money on taxes. And so you want to start that, or you want to start that as early as you possibly can. The next thing you want to do, if you're 59 and a half or older, you want to talk with, we do it, or some other financial firm, you definitely want to talk. You want to talk to somebody about what your options are as far as outside IRAs, right? Because we have a lot of clients that we help with IRAs in our foundation bucket. And I'm going to go back to that foundation bucket, because this is the one that gets missed the most. In that foundation bucket, secure money, most people, what they do is they run to the G fund for protection. The issue with the G fund, again, it gives 2%, but there's a lot of IRAs out there that you can get far better returns. Like, we had a lot of clients over the last year. We were doing some exit interviews today. Some annual review interviews today, and a lot of our clients last year, 15, 17% in their IRA that they replaced their G fund with. Right, that makes a big difference when it comes to your inflation protection, the income you can draw. So if you're 59 and a half, you definitely want to talk to somebody about outside IRAs, because it can make a huge difference in your retirement, because you're getting the returns on the market in the TSP and the C fund, but that protected money is growing a lot bigger than the G fund is at 2%, and you're losing to inflation. And once you're 59 and a half, you can invest in those different type of accounts. So I would say that about the secure bucket. Another thing with that is, in a lot of those IRAs, you can do Roth conversions, and that'll make a big difference for you too. Any questions though? I definitely want to leave space for questions. And at the end of the day, I want to make sure that, if you have questions, you just raise your hand, and then I'll unmute you, and then we will just dialogue about it. And it doesn't have to be about this. It could be about anything. Let me see. No questions. And one thing that we do at Fed Legacy, we have, we could build your financial house strategy. You just go to fedlegacycall.com, and we can help you build that out. And we do it through 3 calls. We help you first. We just get to know you a little bit, ask you questions, and then what we'll do is we'll get on a Zoom call with you, and then we'll help you, see your goals and where you are, and from there we'll help you build out that financial house, so that, again, times like this come up for you a year or 2 years from now, you're not really thinking about it, because you already have the education. You know exactly where your money is, how it's flowing, why you don't need to panic, because we built something in here for this. And that's the way you want to be, honesty. Okay, somebody raised their hand. Finally. Who is this? Sylvester. Sylvester, put your hand up one more time. I'm gonna unmute you, man. I think I put it down on accident. Let me. Okay, Sylvester, I'm allowing you to talk now, man. Sylvester, you are muted, man. Sylvester, you there? You're able to talk, Sylvester, if you're there. All right, and then MJ Maley says briefly explain the process to replace G funds with info into outside IRA. So if are you, and is your name MJ? MJ, are you above 59 and a half? And Sylvester, you're unmuted too, man. So Sylvester, for that, I mean, the process is really just looking at your situation, analyzing it. But now that you're 59 and a half, you can get outside IRAs anywhere, right? And so the process is looking at your situation, going over your numbers, going over your income, seeing what the appropriate amount is. And then all it is you got to get approved from the IRA or the brokerage, whatever way you go, whatever company it is. They approve it, then TSP has to approve it, and then that takes 7 days, and then you do the rollover from there. But the process is pretty simple. I mean, but the main thing is you want to make sure when you're going through it, you go through it in a thorough process, so that the person that's making those recommendations understands your situation and recommend the appropriate amount, right? And so if you want to sit down and talk about it, we can. But we'll walk you through that.
Hey,
hey, Sylvester, is that you?
Yes, sir.
What's going on, brother?
I just want to ask a question. You said earlier about the lateness of it. Yes, I'm at the retirement age. The question I had is with the 5-year time limit, if you get one, because I don't plan on using mine for probably maybe another 7-8 years.
You said you say it one more time.
I said my question about me talking about the Roth IRA conversion.
Man, you kind of breaking up. I can't understand what you're saying.
So I'm talking about the Roth IRA conversion.
Oh yeah, okay. What about it?
Yeah, my question with the 5-year time limit. My question: if you don't plan on getting all your money out anytime soon, is it still wise to do one of those?
Yeah. If you don't plan on taking the money out no time soon, it's smart, because if the money goes to you, later on, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you got all that money that's grown tax free. Plus, if the money goes to your kids, they don't have to pay the taxes on it. So it's a smart thing to do, especially if you don't plan on touching the money, because the money's going to grow one way or the other. But it's better for the money to grow tax free than with the big tax bill, right? Because let's say you have 200,000 and that 200,000 grows to 5. You want that money to be yours, not 150 of that being the IRS's, if you just pay the taxes up front. And so that's why Roth conversions make so much sense, especially for federal employees, because most federal employees are not using their TSP for income. They're using it and then letting it grow. Now, if you're on the outside, most people are using all their money, 401k money, for income. But as a federal employee, most federal employees, I meet with a ton of y'all, man. I would say 70 to 80% of federal employees are not touching their TSP in retirement for income, not like that, not a big chunk of it, maybe a small amount, but it's not enough to take a dent in the principal. And so that money, you need to be growing that money tax free, because it's going to grow. It's just going to grow. It's the facts of it. Did that answer your question?
Yes, I did.
Okay, cool. Anybody else have any questions? You can raise your hand. I know MJ, we've been texting on this, but anybody else, just raise your hand up and I'll unmute you, and then we can talk about it. But MJ, did I answer your question, or did you need some further clarification? All right. Well, you said kind of, like I said. So, what did I miss? Because I want to make sure I'm clear. Well, what part are you still confused about? All right. Yeah, we could talk offline. That's fine. Anybody else have any questions about the financial house piece? And I'll just go through it one more time for people that left, kind of got here kind of early, late. When it comes to the financial house, right? And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because we get a lot of calls on a daily basis from people that have gotten riffed and things like that, or fear of getting riffed. But lately, actually, people have been getting riffed. And the question, and it's two types of people, right? And most people, unfortunately, just because the rifts are such a surprise, didn't have the time to set up a clear financial plan. So here's what you want to do. You want to make sure you have security money, and that's money like for income. Like if you have to project yourself needing income in retirement from your TSP, you want to make sure that money is sitting aside in an account that's not subject to market loss, right? You don't want to be taking income from an account that's down 10%, right? Because when you're taking income out of a retirement account, you're selling shares every time you go to take that income. So you want to make sure that income is coming from a place that's not subject to market loss, right? Same thing with legacy money you want for your kids. You want to make sure that's there. Emergency money, you want to make sure that money is sitting aside, because you don't want to be the person that, is an emergency and you're pulling from your retirement account as the market's going up and down. That's not what you want, right? You want to make sure that money's in a protected place. The next piece is the walls, insulation from external threats. Your big threats in retirement is going to be inflation, because the cost of things today are not the cost of things tomorrow, right? It's many clients we've had retired 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and they come back to us and they're like, Mr. Smith, I know I said I wanted 1,000 from my TSP, but I need 3, and it's just, or, I know I said my expenses are one thing, but they're a little bit more, right? And that's the effect of inflation. That's the effect of grandkids, like more grandkids cost more money, you know what I'm saying? So you got more time on your hands. I'm like, I'll tell my clients all the time is right now, most the days y'all probably spend the most money is probably what, Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. Now every day is that. So every day is a holiday. Every day is a weekend. You can go take a trip any day of the week now, because you got more time on your hands. And so you gotta be aware of that. Your bills might be one thing today, but they could be a lot more because you go traveling more, which you should, right? You worked a long time. And so so that's not like market inflation, but that's self-imposed inflation, right? And you got to understand that type of stuff. So you want your money to grow along with your lifestyle. The next thing, again, is tax minimization. You can never, ever avoid taxes all the way. But what you can do is you can reduce the impact the taxes have on your retirement accounts, right? And so that's one thing that you can do. And so that's the insulation piece. And then the last piece, the growth. And that's, again, this is big right now, because most people are like, well, Mr. Smith, I had all my money in the C fund. There's nothing wrong with the C fund. It's great, right? Because last couple of years, you made 40%, almost 46% total in the last 2 years. Now the market might have peeled back a bit and people are getting afraid. But what you don't want to do is overreact and take all that money that you made and move it, because if it goes back up again, you're locking yourself in. You want to have a strategy in place where you got the right amount there, you have peace of mind, because your other money that's important to you is sitting to the side somewhere. So like, that's the financial house structure. Again, we help y'all build this out. But it's not just us. I mean, a lot of people use similar structures, but it's a structure that works when it comes to retiring and having peace of mind. Let me see if there's